Fan service is not a bad thing, but at some point, as a filmmaker and a studio, you have to realize the difference between pleasing your audience and disrespecting them. Logan was a genuinely beautiful bookend to the whole X-Men saga. It ended the story arcs of Professor X and Wolverine in a heart-wrenching manner, and it was beautiful. We did not need Sir Patrick Stewart's Professor X getting killed by Wanda one more time. And when it comes to Hugh Jackman and Deadpool 3, it's just a marketing gimmick. I went to watch Deadpool and Wolverine last night, and there I bumped into my boxing coach. As we started walking out of the theater after the post credit scene, my coach said to me, "There is something missing in this film. Think about it and tell me what." Spoilers ahead for Deadpool and Wolverine. The film opens with disrespecting one of my favorite comic book films of all time, but that sequence is one hell of a fight scene, so I'll just let it pass. Right off the bat, the film establishes that it is going to be a mindless joyride which will not take itself too seriously, which for the most part works in the favor of the film, but there are times when it doesn't work. The best thing about this film is the dynamic between Deadpool and Wolverine, the constant banter, the hatred that Logan has for pretty much everything, and how Wade constantly gets on his nerves. The banter and the punchlines in this film mostly land, as I can clearly recall the synchronized laughter of the crowd inside the packed theater. Ryan Reynolds taking a dig at Hugh Jackman's divorce, teasing Robert Downey Jr.'s cameo only to have Happy Hogan say that he doesn't do that stuff anymore, and other meta jokes work really well in this film. Deadpool meeting Happy Hogan in the main timeline of the MCU is the only connection this film has to the said main timeline of the MCU. Other than that, the film stays either outside all the timelines inside the TVA or the void, or in its own X-Men timeline of 10005. Deadpool's monologue about how multiverse in Marvel has been a miss after miss is pretty spot on. The film is filled to the brim with meta jokes, unexpected cameos, and moments of fan service, and that's pretty much it. The plot of this film is actually paper thin. But I guess I'm in the wrong here for expecting a story out of this film, which is clearly made so that Hugh Jackman's Wolverine in his comic accurate costume can team up with Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool. So yeah, the theater experience of this film is pretty fucking great. But because I'm a writer at heart, so I'm going to be the asshole who talks about the story of this film and what did not work for me. I was not a big fan of how they handled the character of Professor X in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I mean, bringing back an actor from another franchise only to have their character killed a few minutes later is not something that I enjoy. Here it works slightly better because the film doesn't take itself too seriously. Chris Evans's misdirection as Captain America only to have him reveal as Human Torch, to have him killed in a gruesome manner a few scenes later, kind of works, but again, I'm not a big fan of that. It's a good punchline, but it's just that, a fucking punchline. Channing Tatum being cast as Gambit is similar to John Krasinski being Reed Richards. It's just something that fans wanted to see. It's nothing substantial. And also showing 5 seconds of Henry Cavill as Wolverine made me cheer quite loudly, but at the same time, again, it's just inconsequential. I mean, that's the thing. The film has moments that fans want to see, but they are just that, a moment. Oh, Henry Cavill is Wolverine, and he's gone. Oh, Chris Evans is back, and he's dead. Oh, Channing Tatum, what the fuck is he doing here? Wait a minute, how did X-23 get in the void? What the fuck is happening? You get what I'm trying to say? I hope you do. The film, timeline wise, the film makes no sense because Logan takes place in the year 2029. Deadpool and Wolverine takes place in the year 2024, but Logan is dead in Deadpool's timeline, which is 2024. So how is Logan dead in 2024? It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. The more you think about it, the more the film falls apart, which is my problem with these big budget fan service movies. The more you think about them, the more they start to fall apart. The film also hints that there is something going on behind the scenes between Cassandra Nova and Paradox, but it's quite undercooked. Speaking of Cassandra Nova, I don't know what the fuck she wants in this movie. I mean, it's just a generic terrible antagonist that Marvel is famous for. Now, like my coach Deepak sir said that something is missing in this film. I thought about it a lot and I realized that what's missing is a sense of stakes and consequences. We are constantly told that Wade's universe is going to be destroyed. But for some reason, that sense of loss or that sense of urgency is not felt throughout the film. And even in the third act, there is a vague device that will destroy all the timelines, starting with Wade's timeline. Even in that particular scene, the film becomes less about this one particular character's journey, motivation, and heroism, and it again becomes about saving the multiverse. Another thing that happens in this film is Deadpool jokes about how Marvel is going to make Hugh Jackman be Wolverine till he's 90, and it's a good joke, but the way the movie ends, it leaves the door open for Hugh Jackman to come back for future movies, which again further undermines the impact that Logan had on me as a Wolverine fan. But the way Deadpool and Wolverine opens should make me just not give a fuck about undermining Logan anymore, because that scene did that pretty well. I had hoped that by the end of Deadpool and Wolverine, we would see an alternate variant of Wolverine in the main MCU timeline, most probably played by Taron Egerton. But now that we have seen Henry Cavill, so why not Henry fucking Cavill? But that doesn't happen. The good thing that this film does is keep Deadpool and Wolverine separate from the main timeline, but that just makes us miss out on seeing the main timeline Wolverine and who the actor is who's playing Wolverine in the main MCU timeline. And to see that, we might just have to wait even more. A film filled with fourth wall breaks and meta humor works quite well as a standalone film, but when it's connected to a larger universe, it becomes a slippery slope. I'll explain you why. When you see the story of the Avengers, you see those characters inside the world of that film. You see their turmoil, their rage, their wish to avenge the fallen heroes, and you feel all of their emotions. But when a character, be it She-Hulk or Deadpool or even Kang, who can just see those characters from a third-person larger point of view, we follow our favorite Avengers as characters. And somewhere in our subconscious, we as the audience lose our connection to those said heroes. Their journey is already a story for us. But when we see that it's a story inside another story, our bond is further severed from all of those characters. Anyway, enough of me being an asshole and talking shit about a film that is genuinely enjoyable in the theaters and is definitely made for fans. And it mostly gives what it promises. And so I should just be happy, and for the most part I am. And I am satisfied with the theater experience I got, and I think this is a good film for Marvel fans. But a lot of people have been saying that this is the best MCU film since Avengers Endgame, with which I strongly disagree. The best film after Endgame was definitely Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Anyway, those are my thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine. Do let me know yours. And if you would like to watch me talk about this film in even more detail, you can check out our podcast Pop Culture. We'll be talking about Deadpool and Wolverine over there. Consider subscribing to our podcast as well, and thank you so much for watching this video. Teasing Robert Downey Jr.'s cameo only to have Happy Hogan say that he doesn't do that stuff anymore.
We give you the one person who could play Victor Von Doom.